Hello, excited to see you today. Today we are going live to talk about, is buying a home in 2022 still a good idea? So just to say hello to everyone, my name is Maggie Nielsen and I'm a partner at Purse Strings. We're all about providing financial education like you have here today, and then vetted professionals for you to go to who will be on your team, will be a great trusted resource. So Mataila is here today, and she is one of our Purse Strings approved professionals, one of many. We have mortgage people, realtors, lenders, attorneys, FAs, so whoever you're looking for. So I'm so excited that you're here today and we're going to have this conversation. So just to get started, for those who don't know you, can you give a little introduction to yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Maggie. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Mataila. I'm with Primata Mortgage. I am a certified mortgage planning specialist, CMPS, and all that means is basically, I've studied and got qualified to help people use mortgages as a tool to build wealth and not just getting a debt like I'm under debt, I'm getting a credit card. No, a mortgage is a tool that you can actually use. So, that's what I do every day. We help people start to create wealth and build wealth for their families by using mortgages as a tool.
I love it. I love it. And do you just want to share with everyone where you are tuning in from today?
Yes, I am all the way in Atlanta, Georgia, specifically in Johns Creek, Georgia. As a company, we are licensed in Florida and Texas as well. So we do serve all of Georgia, Texas, and Florida.
So you're just picking the warm states. I see here.
Yes. I felt the pain, Maggie, and I had to just go with the sunny side,
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Well, let's talk today, about buying a home in 2022. Mm-hmm. Is it still a good idea?
Absolutely. Yes. I could not even say yes loud enough. Absolutely. The beauty of real estate is that it's time tested and it will never grow old. Buying a home is definitely a great investment in 2022. I know we've been through a lot, pandemic, rising rates, it's just the whole shebang. It's a lot. But the good news of real estate is you still want to own a piece of this earth, no matter what happens around you with the economy. So yes, absolutely a big resounding yes.
Awesome. So today we're going to kind of go through like 4 major points that, you've shared that you think are really important to kind of get this perspective that yes, it is a good time to purchase. So one of the things we keep hearing about is rising rates. That shouldn't stop us.
No. And you know what I have to say about that? We are such a spoiled generation. We are so spoiled because, yes, last year, probably, 6-8 months ago, rates were in the 2%. And that was only because, the feds had, to stimulate the economy, they had, reduce interest rates, to help kind of boost the economy after the during the pandemic. So rates have gone up now and they are continuing to increase. Now we are looking at the 4%, 5%. And you know what? That is still a fantastic rates because if you look at history, take it to the 80s, take it further back. But, people were buying homes at an 18% interest rate. And that was normal, 12% interest rate. And that was still a good investment and purchase. So 5% rate, still very good. Do not let that hold you back. People are still buying homes and will continue to do so even as the rates go up.
That sounds like previously, it sounds like you were buying almost on a house on a credit card with those percentage rates. But even if we think of inflation being typically around 7%, it's still a steal.
It really is. Honestly, it is. And then on top of that, you're looking at inflation, yes, but savvy people or savvy borrowers understand that even owning a home is actually a savvy technique to use to hedge yourself against inflation because we know that as the economy grows, more people get jobs, employment is increasing, people are making more money. Inflation is also kind of following the same trend, but if you are a homeowner, that helps hedge you because now you've got most likely a fixed mortgage rate that is not increasing as everything else increases, like your rent prices. So yes, you know what? Inflation is going to, owning a home is going to hit you against inflation. So absolutely, we got to buy homes.
All right. So interest rates, we got to stop complaining about because they're
Mm-hmm.
A-okay.
Yes.
And so then I know there's been a scarcity of inventory, which kind of makes that supply and demand and makes houses fly off the shelves, fly off the earth. I don't know. So let's
Yes.
kind of dive into that topic.
Right. So that is the hard truth that inventory has been scarce. It still is. We still have a whole lot more people wanting to buy and own than there are homes enough for everybody. So that is a reality, and it was pretty rough, especially last year. It's still kind of rough now, truth be told. That a borrower finds a home they want to buy, and there's 20 other families who believe that's their dream home too. So inventory is scarce. But, once again, it's, some people want to play the waiting game. Oh, I'm going to wait till inventory comes back up. And you can. But the reality is, buying a home later is going to cost you more than buying a home now. So I tell clients, listen, at least start the process. Let's try, because we're closing homes. We have multiple closings every single week. And that's a sure sign that people are still buying homes. So they are there. And the ones who are getting the homes are the ones who are in the game, right? So it's like, do you want to sit on the bench or do you want to get in the game? I'd
Right.
say get in the game.
Well, and as humans in the society we are, I mean, there's always people moving, no matter what's happening in the world. A pandemic, just the housing market is crazy. People are always selling, people are always buying, people are always moving. That will never come to a halt. And so we got to kind of remember that income will come and go. I think now you just have to swoop it up a little bit faster.
Right.
But I know also you got to kind of swoop it up before some of the banks buy it as well. But
Yeah, and that's part of been the challenge with this market. With the little inventory, we have had a lot of investors, so people with money, with cash buying power, coming to purchase the little inventory we have with cash. And it's been a bit unfortunate, I guess, for your average American family, because that's made it even harder for them to buy a home because now they're competing against cash buyers. But then you do have sellers who are considerate and would say, you know what, I don't want my home to go to an investor. I would rather have it to be owned by another family. So yeah, it's tough. There's many moving parts, many variables, but I always go back to say we are still putting average American families into homes every single week. So we just want to see more and more people participate.
definitely. And we did just have our next podcast episode come out today, and it was a lot about the importance of being part of that community. Rather, that way you have your representation voting in that area and going to those schools rather than the big investors.
Right.
So
I like that. Yeah, that's a great
it's
point.
very interesting. So I'll let people dive into that, onto the podcast. But it's interesting, the more you think about it, how much, you owning the home versus a big bank owning the home or an investor makes a difference.
Exactly. Yes, that representation, you have the voice, and and then you're rooted and can definitely be kind of mobilized, for the community you're in. Yeah. Whereas opposed to some, LLC somewhere with no name and they couldn't care less about the community. So, yeah, we are definitely pro families and building communities that way for sure.
Awesome. So, yep. Now we know that there's always inventory being moved around. So you just got to get into the game.
Absolutely.
So then another metric that you have said that shows that it's a great time to buy is that they're showing that there's continued growth.
Right.
Could you expand on that?
Right. So yeah, when you look at statistics, just even as recent as just in the last 6 to 12 months, there has been a growth in terms of home sales and even availability of inventory. It's still not where we'd like to see it, as an industry in terms of more and more people being able to get qualified, pre-approved today, and they're in a home, or they're under contract a week later. Now we do have a situation where it could be a month or 2 months or 3 months, even 6 months, where people are still looking. But statistics do definitely show that there has been a growth in terms of, home ownership just over the last 6 to 12 months. So increase is there, together with the inventory. Not where we want it, but it is steadily coming up for sure, especially now that, since we hit spring, sunny spring, Maggie, not snowy
Not
spring,
over
sunny
here.
spring. Since we did hit spring, this is a purchase season, and more and more people are now open to show their homes. Because when you're in the winter, and then it was COVID, more families were like, I don't want people walking in and out of my house to view it, to buy it. But with the vaccine rollout and the dropping COVID numbers, and then the sun is coming out, more families are like, we're ready, let them come view the home. We're ready to sell. So numbers are evident that, yes, there is growth and increase and availability gradually coming in for sure.
And I can see that growing and growing probably by the month, especially, after school's let out. I can see, after having, all the holidays, you're like, we're done with this. We can move on to the next step. And so, get people in those houses. Let's get them sold.
Exactly. Absolutely. Another great thing that I encourage people to consider is, when you're renting, we have tools that we use to help our clients, where we're talking about, should you buy now or should you rent? And yes, the truth is sometimes that you are better off to rent than to buy, depending on what your plans and goals are. But we have tools to kind of help a person make that decision. But the reality of renting is, your landlord is most likely than not increasing your rental amount every single year. So another factor to consider, when you consider being a homeowner, is that when you are on a, say, 30-year fixed rate mortgage, you can be confident that you'll have the same monthly payment for your house expenses year upon year, as opposed to renting, where we know that stats are showing that rental prices have skyrocketed. It is, people have rents increased by $200, $300 per month. That's huge. If you think about what the annual cost of that is, just to have, to be living in the same house, nothing has changed, but you're just paying more now.
Right. That's actually a total fear that I have going on right now, because my lease ends in August. I want to re-rent it, but I was like, I don't know yet if he's really going to raise the prices, because he totally could. I really don't want that, but it's definitely something that's been on my mind for sure. And now that, it's very typical or available to buy houses without 20% down, there's a lot more opportunity for many Americans out there.
Exactly. I love that you mentioned that. Yes, that 20% down is old news, so now there's so many opportunities. Lenders are making it so much easier for more people to become homeowners. You can buy a home with as little as 3% down now. 3% of your purchase price. And we also have lots of programs that kind of assist, especially first-time home buyers, down payment assistance programs. So we have so many tools and programs that really make it easier and affordable for everybody to become a homeowner. So the opportunity is there, the options are there. It's just important to, partner with the right mortgage company that will empower you in your decision moving forward and in your transition, to make sure that it's the best decision for you.
Yeah, definitely. It's a holistic picture. So you have to be working with the right people. That's why we find people like you. I can't point that way. It's opposite. But yeah, this last point on kind of on one of the top four here is that the lenders are shifting a lot of their focus to new home buyers. That is a big push that we are seeing, which is awesome.
Right, exactly. And the reason that is happening now is because with the rising interest rates, more and more people are kind of cut out of the refinancing tool. So whereas lenders, when the rates were low, were all pushing heavy refinance. Everybody was refinancing because, most likely they could get a lower rate. Now that pool has really shrunk. So because the refinance pool has shrunk, lenders are forced to focus their attention on purchases, people wanting to purchase a home. And as a result, it's very competitive for the lenders, which I think is a win for your consumer, because if you have lenders competing for your business, you better believe they're going to want to give you the lowest rate, the lowest cost, everything is going to take. So definitely that's a win for the consumers, because now you've got your pick. You can choose a lender that's going to give you the lowest rate, because they're all going to be vying for your business.
Definitely. And I mean, that's awesome. So it does seem like it's a great reason to buy a house. I mean, interest rates are still low
Hmm.
statistically
Right.
overall.
Yep.
Um, Inventory is still moving and there's
Hmm.
still some coming up.
Yep.
Um, the houses show that, it's continued growth in the market,
Right.
and the lenders are really helping out these new home buyers.
They really, really are. Yeah. And another key one as well is just the appreciation rates.
Mm,
Because it is a seller's market, and sellers are doing the natural thing. We all want more money, right? If you want to sell something, you want the most money, as much as it's painful for our buyers, but the truth, we understand
We've
it's
been the buyer, we've been the seller.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that dynamic is actually forcing home values to appreciate at a much higher rate because now
Mhm.
sellers are selling higher than they normally would. Appraisals most of the time are coming higher than average because of appreciation. So you get into a home now just by simply paying your monthly mortgage, and through just simple equity, your house value is going to appreciate at sometimes even twice the rate it would have in a normal market. So you see yourself, you can buy a home now for $200,000. 6 months from now, just by appreciation, you could be looking at a house that's now worth $250,000. So appreciation rates are really tops, and it's great right now. And that's actually one of the tools we help our clients with. We actually show them to say, because many times to win a bidding war, oftentimes buyers are having to offer more than the asking price.
Yeah.
And sometimes as a consumer, it's concerning. You wonder, he are you advising me to pay $10,000 more or 20,000? I mean, it's going as high as 50,000, 70,000
Oh, I'm sure.
price. Yes,
I'm
and
sure.
from the outside, it may look like that might not be a wise decision. So that's where we come in as the numbers people, where we actually punch the numbers in and can give you, charts and spreadsheets with the actual numbers. I love the saying, men and women lie, but numbers never lie. We, yeah,
That
we will show you the numbers because I don't want to tell your story. I could be lying, you know what I mean? Don't listen to other people's stories. They could be lying. Let's look at the numbers in black and white. And that's what we do. We present you with, numbers, charts and graphs to show you to say, okay, even if you offer 20,000 above asking, how soon will you make back that 20,000? And I'm yet to have seen one where they would be underwater or there's a risk of loss because
right.
the market is just a different market, and many of them are making that money back within the first year by doing nothing, just paying their monthly mortgage payment.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, it's the way have prices have increased. Even if you bought a house at the beginning of the pandemic until now, it's wild out there.
Yeah, yeah, so much so that you have a lot of people who did buy a house last year and they're already selling because
Yeah,
they just want a profit. It's like you can't wrong them. Hey, it's the business, it's real estate, right? We all want to
definitely.
build wealth, and that is definitely a strategy. As soon as you've got the value through appreciation and equity, you can let it go. You can sell and make your profit and buy another one.
I love it. I love it. I do have a couple more questions while you're here. I'm just going to put
Sure.
you on the spot.
Okay.
What is the reason that you got into what you're doing, and to helping people get into a house?
Oh, wow. The reason I got into this, it was quite a process of elimination where I actually I have a bachelor's degree in business administration, so I've always loved business. But the type of business, I wasn't sure which direction I would go. And then just through the years working different industries, I realized I love sales, I love working with people, I love helping people. um, and I also knew from many years ago that I loved real estate, but I thought maybe one day I would just be buying property and maybe renting it out, but I didn't realize I would actually become a loan officer. So once I did kind of click and mash to say, hey, real estate, helping people, why don't I help people buy the properties, so eventually I made the decision to explore the industry and I loved it. And it's just so empowering to be able to kind of help and educate people because it's such a highly regulated industry.
Mhm.
There's so many industry specific details about it that to know what I know, I had to study hard. It's,
That's why we pay people.
yeah. And I tell people, I'm like, listen, because we work with a lot of first-time home buyers. I'm like, there is no dumb question. There's no stupid question. I don't know what I know because I woke up and I just knew it. I had to study. So my job is to just share what you need to know, to help you through this. You don't have to go study like I did. So ask whatever you want to ask. And I'll do my level best to kind of guide you through this process. But yeah, it was a love of helping people, and also realizing that real estate is one of the quickest way to build wealth. It
Yep.
really is. You don't have to be uber rich to get into property ownership. You just have to have a secure job, a stable job, have good credit, so take care of your credit, pay the people you owe. And then we help you get pre-approved. So that's really what got me into it, just the power of real estate and wealth building for families, and just my love of people and helping people and seeing people empowered.
Awesome. I always think when we share these stories that it can really inspire others, because it's always like, I don't know how I got here, but I really love what I do, and that passion definitely comes through.
Yes.
And so if someone were to work with you, what are some of the first steps that kind of happen?
Okay, yeah. So our process is pretty simple. We like to, it's important for us to kind of know, what are your goals? What are your plans? So our first step is we have a discovery kind of conversation where we just, have a conversation, and it's not complex. It can be on the phone. We can, we use a video platform as well, for those who prefer, but even just a telephone conversation where we kind of understand, okay, where are you at now? What are your goals? Are you looking for a starter home? Are you looking for your dream home? Are you looking for, just something short term that you want to let go of in a couple of years and maybe convert that into a rental and upgrade? So everybody has different plans and goals,
Right.
So we kind of want to understand that, so we can then advise you with the right mortgage strategy, after that understanding of what your goals are and how long you want to live in the house, etc. And then our application process is pretty quick. It's an online application. It will take you about 15 minutes. Standard mortgage application, we always look for a 2-year work history and a 2-year residential history. That's the biggest part. And then we collect, paperwork to verify income, pay stubs, W-2s,
Right.
bank statements. We run credit. And then once we've done that part of the piece, we structure your loan, and then we get back on the phone with you. And then this is where now we go over the numbers,
Okay.
because we want to make sure that, you're not buying more house than you can afford, that you do have money left over after you're paying the mortgage. So we go
It's important as well.
Right. So we go over those to make sure that you are comfortable with what your monthly housing expense is going to be. Then once we've hashed out those numbers and you're ready, then you go on, we give you that pre-approval letter. And once you have that letter, you can go on shopping, and we wait for you to get on the contract, and, we take you to the closing table.
Awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That way we know what the process is. We know what we're signing up for. Sounds pretty simple to me. And so what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
So telephone, email, text. I always tell people a lot of my clients communicate with me by text, and it's easy. It's convenient for everybody, right? Because you can't always answer your phone, but people are always responding to text. So definitely telephone. My number 470-610-5050, and then by email as well. My email address, I see it scrolling at the bottom there, Mataila@primatamortgage.com. You could visit our website as well. On there, there's you can contact us. You can apply directly from our website. Is the ways to reach us. And we're on social media as well. So if you find me on social media, you can, shoot me a DM, and we can get in touch that way too.
Awesome. That sounds great. You're also one of our Purse Strings approved professionals, so you can check her out at pursestrings.co as well. I think this was a great wealth of knowledge today. Now we know that buying a home is a good idea. 2022.
Yes.
And so thank you for coming on today. I appreciate it. And we'll see everyone here next week to finish up our month of is buying a house a good idea, even though we know it is. So, all right, we'll talk to everyone soon. Bye.
Thank you, Maggie. Bye.